The passion that keeps me going is I feel that we're literally on the cusp of what could truly be a seismic revolution in health. And this seismic revolution is never going to come about from the invention of another pill or a drug or a procedure or an operation. This seismic revolution will come about when we have the will and the grit and the determination to share with the public what is the lifestyle, and most specifically, what is the nutritional literacy that will empower them as the locus of control to vanquish chronic illness. When you eat this way, it's the way people in Okinawa have been eating for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. They live longer than anybody else. There are no gymnasiums there. The most strict, draconian, severe diet on the planet is the one that you have been eating all your life to have this disease. It has absolutely crushed your vascular system, but we're going to turn that all around. And this is not only that, this is the diet that is destroying the wealth of America. 18% of our gross national product is now going into the health industry. That's insane. We can eliminate chronic illness if we can get people to eat whole food, plant-based nutrition. And what are you going to do with all that money? Topel and Murphy, who are economists from Chicago, University of Chicago, in 1999, reporting in the University of Chicago Press, they estimate that the savings in this country with the elimination of cardiovascular disease alone, $40 trillion. Pretty exciting stuff. When you see evidence of an angiogram that we have, where the angiogram shows the blockage in the heart, they come on our program, we repeat, the angiogram was repeated in some of those original patients, and there you see this reversal. And anybody that wants to challenge us, I will simply say to them, look, we're delighted with our message because in half the planet, it shows that this chronic illness is eliminated when you eat this way. And we have experimental data that we took patients who were absolutely seriously ill with triple vessel coronary disease or carotid disease or in their leg disease, and we absolutely halted it, stopped it, reversed it. They have to show me the same with their diet.
And they can't.
I haven't seen it.
Why do you think it sells so many books?
Well, you know, people, as my friend John McDougall says, people love to hear good things about their bad habits. Because let's face it, the Western diet, the way it's concocted, can be quite delicious. But also, so in whole food, plant-based nutrition, your taste buds change, and it's just delightful. I've been doing this now for 34 years. I grew up on an Aberdeen Angus beef farm and a dairy farm. Can you imagine how I felt when research clearly showed that these products that we were raising when I was growing up were destroying people's health? Let's say that you take 1,000 people and they all eat plant-based. You take 1,000 people and they all eat the Western diet. In the 1,000 who are eating the Western diet, there will be some who are somewhat genetically predisposed. They'll have their heart attack at 30 or 40, or maybe they'll have it at 60, or maybe they won't have their heart attack until they're 85 or 90. On the other hand, these 1,000 who are eating plant-based are never going to have their heart disease because they are not injuring the capacity of their endothelial cell to make nitric oxide. I mean, it was interesting, when Bill Connor went down to study the Tarahumara Indians, so I think there were some 583. 0 obesity, 0 heart disease. Pretty exciting stuff. And 0 hypertension. But what happens to the Tarahumara the minute they cross the border and start eating our diet? This whole thing is really based on rock solid scientific data that is never going to sell if it's hype or hyperbole. All it takes for any physician, even those that are devoted to this low-carb business, if they take one patient of theirs who's sick and really get them to do whole food plant-based nutrition, and they suddenly see how powerful and rapid and enduring this can be, they're hooked. They're absolutely hooked. You know how many articles had to be published before the Surgeon General of the United States put out a warning against cigarettes? 7,000 studies. right, before they would be alerted. Do you think that there was a tough lobby in Congress against killing the tobacco industry? I mean, can you imagine the power of something like, well, here we are trying to kill the meat, dairy, egg, pork, and sugar industry. Think there's any power against this? Listen, it's the challenges in life that are exciting, and the word is going to get out there. Yeah. And there's been a basic covenant of trust since the days of Hippocrates, that whenever possible, the caregiver will share with the patient what is the causation of their illness. And sadly today, in cardiovascular medicine, that's not happening. Not through any malice of forethought on the part of a cardiologist. It's just that they have never had any training in nutrition, either during medical school or during their cardiovascular training. So it really is pretty dismal to think that we have created a specialty to take care of this disease, and they do not understand the causation of the illness. Now, every officer in the USDA has previously been a president or officer in the Cattlemen's Association, the Dairymen's League, the Pork Board, the Egg Board. They are enormously conflicted. So that's a problem. Then there's industry. The statin drug industry is, what, 30 billion. Now, do you see them tripping over each other trying to get delighted with the elimination of heart disease? There goes 30 billion. And then there, of course, there's my own profession. I mean, how many persons whose livelihood depends upon stents and bypass surgery, how many of them are urgently looking for fewer and fewer patients? Well, industry obviously is involved heavily with medical schools. Industry involved with individual doctors, always trying to, and look at the advertising on television. Every time you're getting another drug, it'll tell you what it does in about 3 to 5 seconds. The other 40 seconds tells you about all the hideous side effects that may occur if you take this drug. Well, there's another side effect if you just treat the causation of the illness. It goes away. When I was starting, my main concern was cardiovascular disease, and it still is. But there are some other things that have happened along the way where I have begun to develop relationships with other physicians who are finding that cardiovascular disease isn't the only disease that is turned around by this. We mentioned diabetes, we mentioned hypertension, we mentioned strokes, we mentioned vascular dementia, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, multiple sclerosis, allergies, asthma, renal disease. The list goes on. Never before in medicine have we had a tool so powerful in our toolbox. No, nothing trumps food. I have had so many patients who will call me and say, Dr. Esselstyn, I just don't understand this. I go to the gymnasium every day, and yet I've had to have this stent or I've had this bypass. Wait a minute. This is foodborne. How many people in Okinawa go to the gym every day, or in rural China, or the Papua Highlands? Come on. They eat whole food, plant-based nutrition. The reason I take all these phone calls and stay with it is that it's so exciting to me to see these patients who are ill, after a 20 or 30-minute conversation, begin to recognize that they themselves have the power to vanquish their illness. And that is, for people who feel that they're doomed, that physicians have told them there's no way to stop this, you'll just have to take these drugs and do the best with it. How can it be more exciting than that?